Alright, to make an apple, I'm going to do Shift A, get a UV sphere, and I'm going to change the number of segments right away, because the fewer segments I have, the less complicated this is going to be. So you do need to change segments before you edit it. Let's try 10. There we go. That looks okay. I could probably get away with even fewer. Let's try 8. 8 going to be too few? Nah, it'll be fine. Alright, so there's a relatively simple UV sphere. You can work with more, it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to start off in front orthographic mode. I'm going to grab that bottom vertex and turn on proportional editing. And I'm just going to try to give it a apple shape. I'm going to hit Z to keep this sort of pushed down. And I'll just add a couple edge loops. Oops, I don't think you can do that. Add a couple edge loops up right around here. There we go. And because I don't have, you can't add edge loops to a spiraled area, so I'm actually just going to grab these circles. There's actually an easier way to do that, but I'll show you guys that later. And I'm going to extrude it, scale it in. Oops, and I'm going to turn off proportional editing. Okay, there we go. And so that's pretty flat, which is fine. At this point, it might be helpful to go into occlusion mode. So I've turned on occlusion. And I just want to push in the bottom of this apple a little bit. Then I'll grab that bottommost vertex. There we go, something like that. Looks sort of apple-ish, right? I might add one more edge loop. And I'll push it down a little bit just to round that out a little bit. That looks much better. And then actually I'll slide this edge loop up a little bit. Scale it too. There we go. That looks nice. Alright, now I'm basically going to go through a very similar process on the top. So I'm going to turn proportional editing back on. Whoops. And I'll grab it in the Z direction. I don't want it to be quite that much, but again, with the ambient occlusion turned on, that way I can see the inside of the apple. Again, if you missed how I did that, go back to that part of the video. Just go ahead and rewind. I'm doing this quickly because some of you might have already figured some of this out. Some of you need a little more time, and there's nothing wrong with either. All right, so now I'm just going to start gradually round this top of the apple out. And I'm going to, how do I want to do this? I want to scale this guy in a little bit. If you find the ambient occlusion is making you confused, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. Now, this is actually going to be my stem. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these faces. I'm going to turn off ambient occlusion. And I'll select those faces. And then I'm going to scale this in, extrude it, scale it again. There you go. And that's basically going to be my stem. I'll scale it a little bit more. There you go. Go back to occlusion mode. That was pretty good. So now I'll extrude this up. There's the first part of my stem. I can scale it in a little bit more. Then I'll extrude it again, scale it, and I'm going to start rotating it over. Do you guys remember when we tried to make a candy cane and it looked kind of like a HVAC vent? That is what we're doing. I'm going to grab that vertex and just push it out a little bit. Great. Now, grab that edge loop, shift select that guy. I'll extrude these guys again, rotate them over, grab them down. Extrude again, rotate it. I can make a longer stem. Certainly I could add an edge loop there. Sort of pull it over a little bit, just to make it a little bit smoother. Speaking of smoothness, this is a good time. I'll just take the whole thing to smooth. And that'll make it a little easier to see where the edges are a little too flat, like around here. So I'll add an edge loop going this way. And I'll scale it out just a little bit. Pull it up just a little bit just to smooth that out. I can also use proportional editing to kind of push in some parts. So if I grab this, because apples aren't totally even. There you go. A little variation. Do the same thing on the bottom. I'm not worrying about being really precise because it's an apple. How precise does it need to be? There you go. All right, now for the leaf, there's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to go ahead and select those guys. How do I want to do this? I'll do it this way. This will be easier. So I'll select a couple faces that are going to be the base of my leaf. And actually, first what I'll do is I'll add an edge loop. We'll make this even easier. Add an edge loop, push it down towards the bottom, then go back to face mode, and then I'll extrude these guys. Now this will be a little weird looking, but I'm going to basically extrude them, sort of move it up. And I got to turn off proportional editing for this for sure. Yeah, there we go. Move it up a little bit, up away from the apple. And there's that top view. So now I'm going to scale this out. Just start to flare out that leaf. But I want to scale it along the z-axis. So it's going to get a little, the angles are going to get a little strange. But that's okay. And then I'll extrude it out some more. Move it up some more. I'll go ahead and scale it along the y-axis. There you go. I'll extrude it. Actually looks pretty good. Extrude it again. I'll scale along the y-axis more. Probably I should have scaled that edge loop too, so let's go ahead and fix that. Option. And then I'll just scale Y. There we go. So much nicer. If you don't remember what an apple and a leaf look like, you might have to look at them. So one of the problems with occlusion mode is if I want to grab a particular face, sometimes you grab another one by accident. You can always turn that off, grab the faces you want again, and turn it back on again. I don't know if I actually need it at this point though. And then extrude again, move this down. And then I'll start to pull this in a little bit. Actually, scale Y. And then extrude it. Scale Y. And move that down. Extrude. Helps to be in the right angle when you're extruding things so you can see where it's going. And then scale Y. You can see as I'm scaling it, that looks less like a apple, more like something else. It'll start to get, that edge will start to get very thin, which is not a horrible thing. Sometimes if you get like a little sort of pinched quality in an edge, you can grab those two vertices and just scale them just to even it out. So yeah, it's very, very narrow right now, which is probably fine for something like this, but if that starts to be a problem, you can always come back and edit those bottom vertices and pull them basically away from the face a little bit. In fact, I can do that. I'll turn proportional editing back on. I'll just make it very small, and I'll hit grab Z, make this much smaller. Oh, it's going to grab the top of it too. Okay, we won't worry about that. We'll turn off proportional editing. And we'll just move this down old school. I'll move that down a little bit. That way, the leaf is going to have a little bit of extra volume to it, but then I don't have to worry about having faces that are so close together that they might cause problems. But basically, there's an apple.